Okay, but really, who hasn't like frantically Googled a body question at like 3 a.m. and hoped no one saw their search history?
Right.
Today we're tackling a topic that um, might make some people blush, but is super important for everybody.
Yeah.
Female anatomy and sexual health. We're
Mm.
going deep on this one with a podcast episode called Beyond the Body
Okay.
with hosts Denial and Jessika.
Okay.
And just consider these deep dive. Your like cheat sheet to their insights.
I like that.
Right. So
It's interesting, how we often treat female anatomy as this big mystery, even though it's so fundamental to like our existence.
like this taboo subject.
Yeah.
But we're here to bust those myths and empower you with knowledge
Exactly.
about your body or maybe your partner's body.
Yeah. Get ready for some aha moments.
That's right.
Did you know that male and female anatomy actually develop from the same structures in the womb?
Oh, really?
It's true.
What?
All fetuses start with the same blueprint.
Wow.
It's not until around week 10
Okay.
that chromosomes come in and say,
Interesting.
okay, you're going to develop into male genitalia or female genitalia.
Okay.
But even then, they're what we call homologous.
Homologous.
Meaning they share a common origin. So like the penis and the clitoris,
Okay.
they develop from the same tissue.
Oh, wow. Okay. Mind officially blown.
Yeah.
So is there like an evolutionary advantage to these homologous structures?
Well, the homologous structures you see across mammals really point to our shared evolutionary history.
Mhm.
Think of it like building a house.
All right.
You can use the same basic materials like bricks, wood, concrete
Yeah.
to create different structures with
Yeah.
distinct functions.
Yeah.
So evolution kind of works in a similar way,
Interesting.
adapting these existing structures to serve new purposes
Okay.
over millions of years.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So even though they look different, male and female anatomies are built from the same fundamental building blocks.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. So let's move on to another common point of confusion.
Yeah.
The vulva versus the vagina?
Yeah, I think there's often a misconception that a vagina refers to like the whole external area,
Right.
but the vagina is actually the internal canal
Oh,
that leads to the cervix.
okay.
The vulva is what you see on the outside,
So vulva, the whole shebang?
the whole shebang.
Got it. Okay. So what are the key parts we should know?
So the vulva includes the clitoris,
Okay.
the labia majora,
Uh-huh.
the labia minora, the urethral opening where urine exits, and the vaginal opening.
Gotcha.
Each part has a unique function,
Okay.
both for sexual health and overall well-being.
That makes sense. All right. Let's talk about the clitoris.
Yes.
I think most people know it as the small sensitive nub,
Right.
but there's more to it, right?
So here's where things get a little bit more interesting.
Okay.
The clitoris is far more extensive than what's visible.
Really?
It actually extends deep inside the body,
What?
with branches surrounding the vaginal canal.
Wow.
And get this, over 8,000 nerve endings.
What?
It are packed into this amazing structure.
Oh, my goodness.
To put that in perspective, that's almost twice the number of
Wow.
nerve endings in a human hand.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's a lot of sensory input.
It is.
So I'm guessing that, like, has implications for
Yeah,
pleasure and understanding how female orgasms work.
absolutely.
I mean, if the clitoris is so extensive, does that mean sensations we associate with, like, vaginal stimulation might actually be stemming from
Yeah.
those internal clitoral branches?
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
It certainly adds a layer's complexity
Okay.
to our understanding of female pleasure,
Okay.
and it highlights how intertwined these structures are
Yeah.
and how easily we can oversimplify things.
This is, like, already making me rethink
Yeah,
some things.
it's fascinating.
Yeah. It's amazing how much we're still learning about female anatomy.
So much to discover.
Okay, I have to ask, just like the penis,
Yeah,
does the clitoris become engorged with blood during arousal?
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Just like the penis experiences engorgement and erection,
Mm-hmm.
the clitoris also becomes engorged with blood during arousal.
Okay.
It swells and becomes more sensitive.
Wow.
This is a key physiological response
Okay.
that plays a role in sexual pleasure.
So it seems like there are a lot of parallels between male and female arousal, even though they manifest differently.
Exactly. And the more we understand about those similarities and differences,
Yeah,
the better equipped we are to have fulfilling
right.
sexual experiences.
Okay, all right, let's talk about another topic that often gets whispered about,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even hyped up a bit, the G-spot.
Yes.
Is it a myth? Is it a magic button? Or
Right.
is it something in between?
The elusive G-spot identified in the 1940s.
Okay.
It's an area located on the upper front wall of the vagina.
Yeah.
It's often portrayed as this like guaranteed path to like intense pleasure.
Right.
But like a lot of things in this field, the reality is more nuanced.
So maybe not fireworks every time?
Right. The G-spot is indeed rich in nerve endings
Okay.
and sensitive tissue.
Uh-huh.
It's also near the Skene's glands, sometimes referred to as the female prostate.
Interesting.
However, its role in sexual pleasure varies
Okay.
significantly from person to person.
Okay.
While some women experience powerful sensations
Mhm.
from G-spot stimulation, others don't.
So it sounds like we need to unpack the G-spot a little further.
Yeah.
What are some of the different perspectives and research findings on its existence and function?
Okay.
And if the G-spot isn't a guaranteed magic button, what does that mean
All
for those
right.
who haven't found theirs, so to speak?
Exactly.
Okay. It seems like there's still so much mystery surrounding the G-spot,
Yeah.
but even talking about it feels kind of revolutionary, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, it really makes me realize how much we don't
Yeah.
discuss female sexuality openly.
You're absolutely right. And
Yeah.
that lack of open dialogue has
Yeah.
real consequences.
Yeah.
You know, it can lead to misinformation, shame,
Right?
and even difficulty advocating
Yeah.
for our own sexual health and pleasure.
It's almost as if there's like a societal script that says we shouldn't talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
But if we don't, how can we expect to have
Right.
like healthy and fulfilling experiences?
Precisely.
Right.
Knowledge and communication go hand in hand
We
when
sure-
it comes to sexual well-being.
For sure.
Understanding your anatomy empowers you
Mm-hmm.
to take control of your experiences
Yeah.
and advocate for what feels good.
What are some common communication pitfalls
Oh, that's a good question.
that couples face when discussing their sexual preferences?
Yeah.
It seems like it could be a really delicate conversation to navigate.
Yeah. One of the biggest hurdles is overcoming those ingrained feelings of shame or embarrassment.
Right.
You know, we're often conditioned to believe that talking about sex is taboo, especially for women.
Right.
So this can make it difficult to express our desires or concerns openly and honestly.
So how do we break free from that? Where do we even begin to dismantle those like deeply rooted beliefs?
Well, it starts with self-acceptance and education. You
Yeah.
know, challenge those internalized messages that tell you
Yeah.
your body or your desires are somehow wrong or shameful.
Right.
Seek out accurate information
Mhm.
from reliable sources like medical professionals
Yeah.
or evidence-based websites.
Okay.
The more you learn, the more empowered you'll feel
Right.
to speak your truth.
It sounds like a lot of this is about like unlearning those society scripts we've absorbed over the years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's not just about individual empowerment,
Right.
It's about creating a culture where these conversations are normalized.
Absolutely. It's about
Okay.
shifting the societal narrative
Yeah.
around female sexuality.
Okay.
Instead of viewing it through a lens of shame or secrecy,
Right.
we need to start celebrating it as a natural
Okay.
and healthy part of life.
That's a powerful vision.
It is!
So what are some like practical steps we can take to promote those open and honest conversations?
Well, start by being mindful of the language you use.
Okay.
You know, use accurate anatomical terms instead of euphemisms.
Right.
This helps destigmatize the conversation
Yeah.
and fosters a sense of respect and understanding.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about like reclaiming the power of language
Yes,
and using it to create a more open and inclusive dialogue.
exactly.
What else can we do?
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Okay.
Whether it's your doctor, a trusted friend, or a partner.
Yeah.
You know, create a safe space for open dialogue. It's okay to be curious
Uh-huh.
and seek clarification when something is unclear.
It's also about being a good listener, right?
Yes.
Really hearing and validating our partner's experiences and perspectives.
Absolutely. Active listening is crucial.
Okay.
You know, create an environment where everyone feels safe and respected to express themselves
Right.
without judgment.
This is making me realize how communication, especially about something as intimate as sexuality, requires like vulnerability and trust.
You're right. It's
yeah.
about building that foundation of trust where both partners feel comfortable
Yeah.
sharing their desires, fears, and boundaries.
And it's an ongoing process, right? It's not like
Yes.
you have one big conversation and then you're done.
Exactly.
Right? It's a journey, not a destination.
It's about consistently showing up for each other,
Mm-hmm.
being open to learning and growing together,
Yeah.
and adapting your communication styles as needed.
So what are some concrete tips for navigating those like potentially tricky conversations?
Okay.
It's one thing to say, be open,
Right.
but how do we actually do that in a way that feels safe and productive?
Right.
You know, it could be daunting to start these conversations,
Mhm.
but think about how empowering it is to have, like, agency over your own body and your
Yeah,
experiences.
stop shifting the narrative
Yeah.
from shame and secrecy
Yeah.
to one of confidence and self-advocacy.
So let's, like, give our listeners some actionable advice.
Okay.
If you're feeling lost on where to start. What's a practical first step?
Start by simply reflecting on your own journey.
Okay.
How has your understanding of female anatomy and sexuality evolved over time? What messages have you internalized,
Okay.
positive or negative?
Yeah.
What would you like to unlearn or challenge?
It's like taking inventory of your own beliefs and experiences.
Yeah.
So once you have a clearer understanding of your own journey, how do you, like, bring a partner into the conversation?
When you're ready to talk to a partner, start by setting the stage for a safe and open conversation.
Okay.
Choose a time and place where you both feel comfortable and can speak freely without distractions.
I imagine it's also helpful to emphasize that this is like a team effort,
Yes.
right? It's about learning and growing together.
Exactly. Frame it as a shared journey of discovery.
Yeah.
You could even say something like,
Okay.
hey, I've been learning some interesting things about female anatomy, and I'd love to share them with you. I think it could help us both understand each other better.
Yeah, that takes some of the pressure off.
Yep.
It makes it feel less like a test or an interrogation.
Exactly.
What if things get awkward or uncomfortable?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably inevitable to some extent.
It's totally normal to feel a bit awkward or shy at first.
Right.
The key is to acknowledge those feelings and not let them shut down the conversation.
For sure.
You can say something like, this feels a little weird to talk about, but I think it's important.
It's almost like giving each other permission to be a little vulnerable and stumble through it together.
Precisely. And remember, you don't have to cover everything in one conversation.
Right.
You know, start small and build from there.
Yeah.
Maybe share an interesting fact you learned.
Okay.
Or ask your partner if they've ever heard of the term vulva.
Okay.
Just those small steps can lead to bigger shifts in how we approach intimacy and communication.
What about those of us who might not have a partner?
Yeah.
Or aren't ready to have those conversations yet?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Remember, exploring your sexuality is a personal journey. If you're not in a relationship, focus on self-exploration and education.
Okay.
There are tons of resources available, books, websites, podcasts that can help you deepen your understanding of your own body and desires.
Like we said earlier, knowledge is power.
It is.
The more you know, the more confident and empowered you'll feel.
Exactly.
Regardless of your relationship status.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's do a quick recap of what we've learned today.
Okay.
We all start with the same basic anatomical blueprint. The clitoris is way more complex than many people realize.
Yes.
The G-spot is still a bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
And communication is key
Absolutely.
to a fulfilling sexual experience.
I think this deep dive has really highlighted the importance of challenging those societal taboos that often surround female anatomy and sexuality.
Absolutely. It's time to embrace our bodies, celebrate our desires, and never stop learning.
And remember, there's no shame
Right.
in seeking knowledge or asking for what you need.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
It has been.
And as always, we want to leave you with something to ponder.
Okay.
Considering everything we've talked about today, what's one small step you can take to promote more open and accurate conversations about female sexuality in your own life? Maybe it's simply using the correct anatomical terms, or recommending this podcast episode to a friend, or even just reflecting on your own experiences and beliefs.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is, take that step and see where it leads.
That's a great point.
Thanks for joining us.